Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to Shoulder Tap. We got a tough one to follow up, Ben, because Dr. Brett Steenbarger was on right before this, tossing down the knowledge. We will try our best now to give kudos and maybe some shoulder tapping to some of our funded traders. But first, Ben, how are you doing and how are our traders doing?
I'm doing well, Jack. I really appreciate Dr. Steenbarger for coming on. He's fantastic. Free game is free game, but some free game is better than others. And the stuff that he's handing out for free on this YouTube broadcast is fantastic. Anyone who hasn't checked out his books, definitely do so. I really enjoyed the Daily Trading Coach. I've used that, read through it twice, so it's awesome. Really grateful to have him on the broadcast and to hear him echo a lot of things that we talk about on this broadcast very often. So that's cool, very reassuring that a lot of the coaching and discussions about risk management that we're doing here are backed up by a bona fide trading psychologist. So just super cool getting him on the program, and hope he's back soon. Live traders are doing pretty well today. As always, it's a mixed bag, but generally speaking, we got quite a bit of green on the boards, and I've noticed the house account trading better as well. There was some back and forth, some banter about whether or not to walk away with a $4,000, $5,000 winning day, lock it up, or keep it open in order to potentially make more. From what I'm seeing, from my perspective, I think everything that has gone into crafting this process of trading the live account, collecting levels from our community, our traders, putting our own analysis over it, interpreting live market data, and then executing a trade. That process is really getting a lot sharper, and that's reflecting in the P&L over the last week or two. So, for whatever it's worth, my vote is keep it open. Trade aggressively while you're trading well, and pump the brakes when you're not trading well. But I would say we're trading
Yeah,
pretty well right now
let's
in that account.
Let's
So
talk about that for
um,
1 second. We had a bit of a sell off and now a bounce back in the indices. Still down a little bit. Remember, we got to get to positive for a ninth straight day for the first time since 2004. I saw where both MP and Andre were coming from on that, where banter is one way to put it, a little bit of a love fest over it. I think that you're right. I would keep it open for the day in case we find more trades later. I kind of agree with the idea that with 7 minutes left in the session and people leaving and doing stuff like that, maybe not the next time to YOLO. Not that that's what we're doing, the YOLOing, but um, you know, we should be letting the trades come to us and taking them when they're available, as opposed to just being like, we got to get some action, right? I mean,
yeah,
just if you're looking for action, you will always find it. You take too
yeah,
much
yeah,
action,
no kidding.
that is gambling.
And kind of along those lines, I know that Rips was talking about being in the pocket and being able to trade. Kind of regardless of your P&L, just take the trades that are available to you. He's been doing a great job of that. Just to give him another shout out, he's up $4,000 today in the live account, and I've seen a couple of DLLs from Rips over the last couple of weeks, but overall putting up big P&Ls. I think if he can focus on making sure he's coming away with profits on a weekly basis, even if that's $2,000 or $3,000 overall, he's really putting together a nice streak of trading. So shout out to Rips, and Nick for a tick earlier hit DLL. He's been struggling a bit in the live account, but we know he can turn that around. So talked about some of the ways to do that on the prior segment with Dr. Steenbarger. A few other quick shout outs. Ionis is up $3,100. Dennis M up 1,700. We got David A up a cool 3,000. Cole up 3,400, and Balkaran stacking it on at 5,600. So quite a few multi-thousand-dollar P&Ls on the live boards that are looking good and continuing to grow as the day progresses. So we've talked about back on the lock it up topic. If you're feeling a little bit strained or on kind of a losing streak, lock it up. If you're trading well, maybe leave it open. But
Yeah.
that is a debate that will never end. So in the meantime, we can move on to our trading cards if you're ready, Jack.
Yeah. I think we just have two today, so I was going to do a little self reflection as well. They don't make this stuff easy, right? We finally got a little bit of an ES down day. I continued to do my small thing of trying to fade weight for it and made a little bit, not as much as I should have. The reason being, that spike in the morning, I feel like everyone and their mom was waiting for this streak to get broken for some sort of pullback, but they had to give that kind of spike just to make you wonder this morning. So the market is designed to take maximum pain out of the largest number of individuals. So if you're doing well, you know that's great on you because it is not an easy thing to do. And with that, let's take a look at some cards.
Yeah, let's do it. First up, we've got a name that should be relatively familiar if you've been watching the broadcast recently. Kang L is our first trading card. Kang has been putting up some serious numbers, big profits across multiple funded accounts. He's in a live account, which is what we're going to discuss here. We just called up several additional XFAs as far as the balances from those XFAs into this live account for Kang. So Kang's been doing well. That's reflected in the way that we're treating his accounts, moving him into live. He had 4 XFAs that were just called up additionally. So NASDAQ trader trading with us from Portland, Oregon. And the percentages are kind of right down the middle, 45% winning days, 50% winning trades. And we're at almost exactly within $1 of a true one-to-one reward to risk ratio. And hold times are a little bit upside down with almost an hour on the losing hold times versus 36 minutes on the winners. Taking 14 trades a day, which is interesting. That's a decent amount of trading activity, I would say kind of on the high side, but only 1 contract per trade on average. So Jack, you've talked about the way scaling in and out of that can skew those numbers a little bit depending on the
Mhm.
actual executions of your trades can be reflected a little bit differently. So we won't read too much into that. But Kang just qualified for a payout, just hit his 5th winning day in this account. So qualifies for a payout. Would love to see Kang take a payout of what has now grown to be a really significant balance in the live account. And keep taking profits out of the live markets. We're seeing 1.5 to 1 ratio on the winning days to losing days. So that coupled with a 45% winning day percentage is still putting us in profit. I think as with many traders we discuss, hitting the daily loss limit less frequently would be beneficial
Mhm.
because it's really difficult to eclipse and outpace, a 2 or even 3 day DLL streak. So we've only got 11 trading days completed, and I wanted to make the 2 cards today we have basically be kind of check-ins for live traders that we've called up. I think oftentimes we talk about people that are just now getting called up, and then folks that are maybe at the end of the road, maybe the account got offboarded or whatever the case is. So Kang is, almost little over 2 weeks into this live account. Just got some additional XFAs called up, and we're liking what we see. It's profitable trading on the whole. Definitely some room to carve out additional profitability, increase that profit factor in this account. Couple of big winning days have really contributed to the overall P&L. A $10,000 winning day and an $8,000 winning day go a long way. And I think as I was trying to look at this trading report more holistically, I think that Kang has no problem being aggressive, right? Trading in an aggressive way. And trading aggressively shouldn't be looked at with a negative connotation. I think you need to be aggressive, swing when you're seeing the fat pitch, and continue shooting the ball when the basket looks like it's 10 feet wide. Those kinds of euphemisms. You need to be aggressive when things are going really well and press the gas a little bit. Just in the same way that you really have to pump the brakes a little bit when you're on a losing streak or not seeing the markets well or anticipating some type of conditions that aren't beneficial for you. So being aggressive in a tactful way, I think, is the number one recommendation I'd have for traders that are in this kind of zone where they're profitable, but there's definitely room for improvement within that profit factor. When you look at the wins relative to the losses. So Kang's on a winning streak, which is great. Including today, Kang's up. Last check, he was up about $4,300 in the live account again today. So trading very well. love seeing that. And I think just taking what the market gives you and really leaning into trading when you're seeing well, trading additional size or in some cases additional repetitions when the conditions favor your style is the only thing I'd speak to. Overall, it's profitable trading in a live account, which is hard to do. So kudos to you, Kang, and keep up the great work. We're cheering for you.
Yeah. This style of trading, I would need to see, we're only 11 or 12 days into it. Let's say it closes out big there. Um, to kind of confirm the validity of this strategy, I feel like you would need a pretty large sample size. And this is true of a lot of the people that are kind of feast or famine, where they're really making their bones on the big days. We looked at a few cards we liked the last couple days where it was pretty consistent as far as what they were making when they had winning days. Uh, this card, short sample size is Club DLL and is really kind of banking on those big days. And it's impressive. To put up 10K is not easy. To put up He also put up 9K in one of these days. That's great. You just have to be sure that that happens with some predictable regularity. And just my cursory glance at it makes me think that King is almost aiming for that 10K a day to be satisfied. Because on both of those days, King closed at the high mark at 10K. Whereas I see a couple days that are a little bit concerning. There's like a 6K, 5K in flat day that ended up DLL. Uh, that's the example we use with a count this size and what you've been putting up. An 8K swing is too much, right? And if you can there was another one that was maybe up 3K that went to the DLL. I think you just got to figure out kind of where you're setting your new loss limit once you're flat and up an amount of money that's easily more than that, right? Um, Personally, I think if you're flat, you probably until you get it expanded, probably shouldn't give back more than your original loss limit, like $3,000 or something. But um, I think this is very aggressive, but like definitely feeling it trading, and just be careful. Look at it holistically.
Yeah.
You're very good at holding these positions. Just keep an eye on how frequently they happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to expound a little bit on the feast or famine style that you're referring to, Jack, we see that a lot. We talk about it weekly, through Shoulder Tap and in other segments. It's important to qualify feast or famine as well. Feasting as far as putting up a $10,000 day, multiple $10,000 days. That's all fine and good. You aren't able to actually eat any of the table that you're setting for yourself unless you take a payout. And most often, what happens, even more so than other trading styles, is you're going to go through a streak, maybe a hot streak, maybe you get yourself even $30,000 or $40,000 of profit in a maybe let's call it a 2 week span. Um, you need to take that money out. You need to pay yourself that money to then be able to withstand a losing streak and possibly losing the account. Right? If you go on a long streak of DLLs and don't actually pay yourself over that process, and it was all for naught, and you never capitalize on anything. Because I'm of the belief that, especially with the $3,000 loss limit and the ability to trade 15 contracts, the end of that road and trading that style, with very, very few exceptions, is losing that live account ultimately.
Mhm.
And so if you're paying yourself along the way, I know Dakota, even for example, great trader. He lost his live account a little bit earlier in the year. That was after he took almost $200,000 worth of payouts
Yeah.
from that account. So that's a big difference as far as end result than just trading on tilt, going in emotional, and there's lots of examples of that, of just never taking the payout and losing out on the account. So pay yourself while the eating is good, and protect your downside as best you can. some people choose to do that with the DLL, but I think aiming a little bit shy of that, or like you're saying, Jack, even trail that kind of behind your profits. Treat each new trade as though you have a $3,000 loss limit rather than, oh, I'm up 5 grand. That means I can lose 8,000 now before I get
Yeah,
stopped out.
and we'll
That's a
we'll go to
losing
the next card. I won't bemoan this, but if that's especially true, I'm not saying you couldn't take an intraday swing that's a little more or half of it, but if you're flat on a day, the time to change your loss limit is not then, right? We do that slowly. I guess you could a little bit as long as it's a percent of your overall account. But just because you put up, I'm not, King didn't do this, but just because you managed to get flat up $20,000 does not mean you are now a $23 loss limit trader. That
value.
is lunacy. All right, who we got next, Ben?
Right. Yeah, let's talk about Tarek. Tarek W. Everybody on the risk team is really on the same page about Tarek. We're loving the trading in this 150K live account, similar to the card we just looked at. Additional XFAs are being balances are being moved into this live account. That's a reflection of the great trading that we're seeing. Um, don't have a large data set to look at just yet. Again, this is kind of a touch point or a check in with some of these live traders that were transferred to live and had their live accounts created within the last couple of weeks. But Tarek's doing very well. Average daily P&L is $1,200. That's awesome. Winning day percentage is 63%. Again, a little bit of smaller sample size, but right now we're seeing a 5.2 to 1 reward to risk ratio. So making 5 for every 1 you risk. Granted, the trading volume per day is relatively low also. Only seeing 3 trades a day, but this is a Dow trader trading the YM exclusively, which I really like seeing, and I in that product really appreciate the position sizing relative to the product being traded. I think 3 contracts in the Dow when you have a 150K account is a nice position to have, especially when you're seeing the types of success and winning percentages that you got. 43% winning trades on that kind of a reward to risk ratio is fantastic. Again, eventually that will begin to even out as we see more trade data come in. But the most encouraging thing, I think, is the hold times. 3.5 hours on the winners to 11 minutes only on the losers. That means that either we're cutting bait quickly and or picking really good trade location that you get invalidated relatively quickly. And when you're right, you're riding that out for as long as you absolutely can to really rake in profits on the times that you are correct. So that's awesome. That type of trading is sustainable longer term. The win percentages will balance out a bit. The reward to risk will balance out a little bit. But ultimately, if you can hold on to your winners for a long time and ride them out and maximize them, as long as you're winning a decent percentage, even 30% with that type of reward to risk ratio is very lucrative. So, that's really cool. Also, shout out to Tarek. Back to the payout point. Took a $9,000 payout out of this live account yesterday. So that's a nice chunk of change that Tarek is taking. Took it as soon as he possibly could have in this live account after 5 winning days. So hit the
It's
profit
yeah.
threshold, took a max payout. Love to see that. That means you value the money and you're trading to profit and to pay yourself. So overall, really, really good stuff here. And eventually a cold streak will come along. Just don't want to see this trader kind of get knocked off their horse on a losing streak. Eventually that'll happen. Don't let it shake you out of your system. But if adjustments need to be made, or kind of macro conditions are changing, those larger tides, maybe you can make some adjustments. But don't let a losing day or 2 losing days in a row kind of shake you from what you've shown to be successful thus far. What are your thoughts on this one, Jack?
You're right, Ben. That's a good chunk of cha-cha changes for our boy in Bowie, Maryland. Trading a product that was also popular in the 60s, but I won't hold it against them. Yeah, I mean, can't argue with making 1252 on an average day. Is making enough on the high days. Yeah, I don't see, I love the payout, as you mentioned. Sort of already won the account. I would say just let me see. current balance is right now. Okay. After that payout, I would say with the current balance, um, you shouldn't be risking. I'm not saying that they are. Maybe they've changed it, but Tark shouldn't be risking the full DLL because after the payout, this account has a balance of $9,000 right now. $9,000 account. Personally, I would risk 900 or less per day. But you're the man that took the $9,000 payout. I trust your gut, but don't please. I just really hope that this isn't something we come back. It's like, oh, 3 days later, after three K drawdowns, it was gone.
Right.
Um, that would be very sad. I can't think of any more Bowie references at the moment. My brain was spinning, but that's about all.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ben, before we hit the road?
Kind of to your point, I think it's important to respect your account. Respect your own money, respect your account, and in a live account, respect the journey that it took to get to that point. That this trader went from trading combine to XFA to live account. That's no small feat, and you know, risking the daily loss limit to potentially lose it out, in 3 quick days. Is a little bit reckless. So just value and respect your own account, and keep it for the long term, and take more $9,000 payouts is what I'd like to see from Tark, and truly from all of our traders. We want to see our traders profit and take home some cash. So that's the closing thought that I've got today.
Yep, Tark, don't be reckless like sailors fighting in a dance hall. There it was. I was able to get one more Bowie reference in there. Ben, thanks. Great job from both of our traders today. Always manage your risk. And we're going to be right back. Actually, you guys were asking about him last week. Everyone was saying, where's Robert? Where's Robert? Well, he was moving, but he is back today and he is doing group coaching with JD next. So stick around. We'll be back right after this.